Hey everyone, my name is Tracy Collins and I am your Global CEO. This is where I teach Black women to level up their business infrastructure so they can live the life that they desire from anywhere. So today I want to talk to you guys about pricing yourself at value. What I have learned in my years of working with Black women and Black women who strive to be entrepreneurs is that they struggle with pricing themselves at value. And there's a lot that goes into that. What does that mean? We as Black women have been taught to devalue ourselves because of the society that we live in. And regardless of the fact of how much education we have, our actual practical life experience, and all that we bring to the table, we often do not price ourselves appropriately for what it is that we offer in our unique lens and walk in this life, and then in our area of expertise and specialty. And for those that do, they have really struggled with being able to charge themselves and actually to appropriately price themselves according to their peers or counterparts in their field. And there's a lot of historical context that I can give to that, but I'm not going to go in that today. I'll save that for another video. But in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to appropriately price yourself at value. Okay, so first you want to start with what it is that you're offering. What are you offering? What is your area of expertise? And then also, who is your target demographic that you are talking to? Who is your target demographic that you're marketing to? And how do you find your target demographic? What age range are they in? Are they Gen X's, baby boomers, millennials, Gen Zs? What it is that they do in, usually for their way of life. How do they receive their information? Do they have disposable income? If so, how do they dispose of their income? Do they like to travel? Do they like to go out and eat? Is it accumulation of going out to eat and hanging out with friends and, at the bar? Like really get into who your target demographic is and what it is they do to generate income and how they spend their income and what is their cost of living. Also, male or female, non-binary. Get really, really, really specific in as much as you can nail down and pinpoint who your target demographic is, the better successful you'll be because you'll understand how to market to them. You'll understand where they're receiving their information, how they're receiving their information, how much information do they take in, how much time do they spend taking in that information. So I hope you guys can kind of see where I'm going with this. So what it is that you offer, your niche, your area of expertise, who you're talking to is so key because if you're offering services to this target demographic, you have to know how to reach them. Okay, you have to know how are they getting the said information that you are offering. Do they hang out on Facebook? Do they hang out on YouTube? Do they like TikTok? Are they on Instagram? Because this is going to tell you how to tailor design your content and also where to you want to make sure that you send it to. So where are you putting your content in, what platform, so they can find you? We are not going to sit and wait for them to find us. Gone are those days. We are in a world where we're in content information overload. So you have to make sure, number one, that you're consistent. Number two, that you stand out. And honestly, you guys, consistency is really the key. People think they have to be perfect when they put content out. And honestly, it's the opposite of that. You really want to be as relatable as possible. You really want to mess up and show the bloopers and show the behind the scenes. You can still be an expert in your field, but it also gives a sense of, oh, they're human. There's the human aspect, the human touch that we are often missing when we are just in the World Wide Web. So as you are going about thinking about who your target demographic is, please make sure that you also focus on your relatable experiences, your level of vulnerability that you can share with them so they can say, I like them, or I can relate to them, or that happened to me too, or I was wondering about that. So, okay. So I wrote some things down. I'm gonna look over to the side. It don't mean I'm not paying attention, but this is, to keep me on track because I have a hard time staying focused. I really got the attention span of a gnat. So focus, Tracy. So we talked about finding your target demographic. We also talked about like really narrowing down your niche. And the more of an expert you are in your said field, the more narrow your niche becomes, which is good. And you're not going to start out like that. Usually speaking, it's like you can kind of start all over the place, but kind of look at it like a funnel. Your funnel is wide and then it comes down. So that is how, it's okay to kind of open and then kind of narrow it down. And what it does is it weeds everything else out. It also weeds everyone else out. Okay, who you're talking to. So those are the top things that you really want to look for when we talk about beginning to price yourself at value. Okay. And then we're going to take it a step further and we're going to talk about what is the average rate of what folks are charging in your said market. So it's going to require that you do your due diligence. You're going to have to do your level of research, in-depth research. You're going to have to look on various different platforms for that said research. You're going to have to use Google. You're going to have to use Instagram and all your social media platforms, YouTube. You're also going to have to just even geography weighs in on it too. What are people charging in your geographic region? Okay, now what are people charging in your geographic region for the level of expertise that you bring to the field? Okay, and then from there, what are people charging in your area, in the field that you're in, and then also with your level of expertise and what you bring to the table. So we really want to think about what is the average rate. Now, I'm a firm believer that we never want to price ourselves below. And oftentimes people in business make one of the worst mistakes you can ever make. It's kind of like sabotaging your own business, but you don't even think that you're doing so. They think it's a marketing strategy, but really it's not. Is they begin to price themselves low, thinking it's going to draw people in. And honestly, it does the opposite. When people see things are priced below value, they think, well, if you don't think your business is priced appropriately, or if you don't think your business is valuable, why should I? Why should I spend my money with you? So this is why I would say we want to price ourselves right in the middle. We don't want to outprice ourselves. You can work your way up to being the leader, the go-to, the said person that you need to be talking to or getting your information from in that field. But when you're starting, I kind of just want to price yourself competitively, as I like to term it. You want to price yourself competitively, but it has to, come after you do your due diligence, understanding who your target demographic is, also understanding what value you bring to the table with the time that you've invested into this. And your study time counts into that. If you've gone to college and earned a degree in said field, that all goes into pricing yourself at value. What are your peers or counterparts charging? And then going and charging up from there. So I'm gonna teach you how to level up, but we're not there yet. Okay, so I talked about your years in the field. So how many years have you really been doing this? How many years have you been in business, or how many years have you been offering like-kind or like-kind services within this niche or within this market niche? Said that wrong. Within this market. And I like to break things down in 5-year increments for me. So anywhere from 0 to 5, you're still a newbie. You're still a newbie. You have not experienced all of the ups and downs in being a new business. You are still wet behind the ears. You still got Similac or breast milk on your breath. We want to get past the 5-year mark. And really, by the time you hit that 5-year mark, it's like, oh, okay, I've had some failures. I know what works. I have a general idea of what works. I have a general idea of what does not work. I've tried this, it didn't work. I've tried this, my audience or my clientele, they love it. So this is where I'm going to hone in on, because if you really take a poll, people are going to tell you of what they like and what they don't like. So make sure that you always maintain a line of communication with your clients or customers for products and services that you offer, because their feedback is valuable. Their feedback is, as long as it's constructive, is only going to help you hone in become an expert, help you grow, help your business or brand grow. And it's an evolution. It is a destiny. I'm sorry, it's a destination. And I'm sorry, it's not a destination, it's a journey. And we want to make sure that we are getting the necessary feedback to help us grow. Okay. And there are going to be things that, because it's your baby, that are going to be like, oh my God, like, oh, does that even really is it valuable to me, or what they said really hurt? And sometimes people can. We're not gonna act like folks can't. Folks in the internet sphere, the internets, they can be mean. But honestly, people who really value what you bring to the table, they're going to give you the necessary constructive criticism that you need, and they're going to say, you know what, this really worked, thank you, and this didn't, but maybe this. And so you really want to listen to what your target demographic, your customers, and your clients have to say about your product or service that you're offering. Okay. Um, Now, we're going to talk about life experience. Your life experience adds value. Okay. Your life experience adds value. So we don't ever want to negate your actual practical life experience. You can, I'm sure, write at least a list of 5 things that say, you know what, this changed my perspective, or this was not a loss, but a lesson, or this helped me grow in a way, or this helped my contracts get stronger because I had this said experience with this customer in my journey. So we always want to account for the life experience that we bring to the table, because as Black women, you know, we walk a very unique lens in this life, in this society, and then even more so when it comes to being CEOs and being breadwinners and being holding that position. So you make sure that you add that into your price point. People often pay me for my level of expertise. One sure way of pissing me off, well, it used to piss me off, it don't anymore, but when I would have clients who would pay me because I was so valuable, because my length of time in the field and my level of expertise, but they wouldn't use it. It don't bother me no more. It's like, well, shit, you know, am I supposed to cuss? Yeah. But you want to make sure that you add that, because that's your experience. That is really what's going to separate you from everybody else. Nobody is going to have the same exact identical DNA blueprint of your life. Nobody. So that is what's going to draw people in. Hold on. Okay, so in pricing yourself at value and bringing that actual practical relevant experience to the table, it's like, how have you used that life experience in supporting your clients, in working with your customers? And so it could be coaching, it could be workshops, it can be speaking engagements. All of that stuff adds more and more and more value. So what does that do? It creates, number one, content, but it also creates more value in reference to the price point and how much more you can charge and what you offer. Another way is, what about when articles have been written about you, publications, have you been mentioned in any form of media by magazines, by major content creators, by major news outlets? All of those add more value when it comes to pricing yourself. And we want to make sure that we account for all of that, because number one, it broadens your platform, it centers you as an expert in your field. And we always want to aim to be an expert in our field. Okay. So how do we, we're paying attention to what other people are doing. Let me tell you one of the things that I do as a CEO. I study other CEOs, and it doesn't matter what field of business they're in. I study CEOs who are in tech. I study CEOs who are in entertainment. I study CEOs who are in merchandising. I study all kinds of CEOs, and I just watch how they move. I watch what they have to offer, what they bring to the table, what it is their niche is. I pay attention to their decision making. It's very hard. It becomes very hard for women to be considered leaders in their field and not be either taken seriously or be termed like a bad word because we hold a position of authority and we have to make hard and tough decisions. But we have to make sure that because you have earned so much to get here and you've worked so hard to get here, that you understand that decision making and a tough decision making goes with the job. Okay. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to not to copy, not to mimic, not to compete against in a sense, but it's more so how can I take what they bring, their value, and add more value because what they're teaching or what they're doing is really making a difference. So how can I begin to make a difference and make a change in my field of expertise and bring value and center me as the expert? So you always want to kind of be on a lookout. I'm one of those people who's very, very silent. You'll never know I'm watching. And that's just how my personality is. I'm not one that's loud and you'll never know I'm paying attention. But best believe I'm paying attention. And people will tell you how they are in their actions. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to all of that. And one of the things that I really, really love about business is the business fundamentals are the same. The product or service may be different. The business fundamentals are the same. As long as you can understand contracts, contract negotiations, money, taxes, and basic business infrastructure, you can apply it anywhere and be consistent. And when I tell you consistency is going to learn you, but consistency is the key because most people quit. And most of y'all watching this video are not going to use and apply what I'm saying here. That is just the nature of the beast. So are you going to be those that just kind of, oh, I'm gonna listen and watch, but I'm not gonna apply because it takes too much work, or really commit to dedicating a minimum of 4 hours a day to your business or brand? A minimum. It's that minimum. You can break it up, you can do it straight through, but you have to be committing at least 28 hours a week starting out in any business a day in order to gain momentum, to learn it, and to apply strategy to building your business or brand. Okay. And then all of that, I say, we want to add tax. So we want to add tags. So we have talked about narrowing down what your niche is. We've talked about your target demographic and how to pinpoint and talk to and market to your target demographic. We also talked about, what adds more value, what makes you more credible, what makes you a leader or expert in your said field. How many years have you been doing the actual practical work in the said business or brand that you're offering? And then has anybody else outside of yourself given you recognition for that? Publications, news articles, news outlets, podcasts, anything that will continue to add value to you, centering you as the expert, the go-to person in the said field. So all of that accumulation and then times tax. So I'm going to let you do that math by yourself. I'm going to add tax to that. And then if those numbers, like your length of time in said market, even if you've been studying it and if you have a degree in said, or you've been doing X, Y, and Z, then times that by 2. Okay. And we don't want to ever forget, people often hire us, Black women, especially if they are Black women themselves or, have a similar life path or trajectory. They often hire us because it's like, you're really speaking my language. How can I position myself to be a leader just as you have? I really value what you bring to the table. So all of that, we want to make sure that we're taking into account, because at the end of the day, guess what? You're a CEO, and this is how CEOs move. It's very, very strategic, and you are always playing chess, not checkers. You are always paying attention to markets. You are always paying attention to what's happening in your field. You're also looking at who are the other leaders in your industry. We are also looking at the dollar amount. What is the basic revenue that our business generates, can generate? What are some corrections that need to be made within our own infrastructure? What's working, what's not? All of that And I always believe in playing the position in your company, playing every position in your company. So when you start speaking to those and you start leveling up and bringing them in, you can speak from that said position. This is what works for my company. This is the level in which our customers expect a response. These are the structures that have been put in place. These are the systems that have been put in place. This is what works. Can you do this or not? What value do you have? Are you going to take me to the next level? Because when you start getting to the next level, when we talk about basic business infrastructure and how we have to grow that, then it's going to cost us more and more and more. So we want to make sure that we are applying that revenue into, or we're into good uh, areas of our company. Okay, this is why pricing yourself at value is so essential, because guess where it's going? It's going back into your company. And it also positions yourself as a leader as you continue to grow, as you continue to add value into your said field. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to give you a couple of tips to be comfortable in saying your price out loud. Well, a few tips. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to have a bottom number. Like, you should not be getting out of bed for your number. Like, Tracy's not getting out of bed for X, Y, and Z. It could be $1,000. It could be $3,000. Whatever your bottom number is. And like, Tracy, well, how do I do that? Like, how do I determine what my bottom number is? You want to calculate your overhead. What does it cost for you to live? What is your overhead expenses? Your personal, and then they're your business. Okay. Now, times that by 2. That should be your bottom number. I'm talking about times it by 2 per month. Like, what is your, let's not maybe do by month. No, by month. Okay. And the beautiful thing about being, if you are putting yourself in position of being a digital nomad or content creator, is you can do your business anywhere. So we also want to make sure that we are reclaiming our time, as Auntie Maxine says, we want to reclaim our time. Our value is in our time. Okay. So in focusing on your time and the value that has, there has to be a bottom number for you to even perform said duty that you are to be compensated. And then from there, it's like, am I going to be required to get out of my house? What does that cost me? Gas. Is it I have to wear a certain attire? Is it toll involved? Do I have to cross any bridges? Like, anything, I have to pay for parking. Like, all of that has to be accounted for when we start pricing ourselves, if we're going to, go outside of our home to perform a duty. And then the value of your time. And the value of your time, honestly, is priceless. It's priceless. But what are you doing to account for every nook and cranny of pricing yourself at value? Another thing that we need to really get comfortable. Women, especially Black women, have a really hard time in saying what we are charging with confidence. I want you to stand in the mirror and say your fee without blinking. You should be able to comfortably and confidently say what it is that you charge without flinching. And if you choose to negotiate, because oftentimes people will ask Black women to charge less or lower their price and be comfortable with that, because they don't believe that you are as valuable as you say you are. That's a they problem. That ain't got nothing to do with you. So I want you to challenge yourself in saying what it is your fee is. Once you've done all of the calculations, you've come up with your number. And you've come up with your number, like, I'm not moving. This is my bottom line. If I know people who don't, if it's less than $10,000, I'm not moving. Okay. There was a hedge fund operator who would meet with his clients. He charged, I want to say it was $6,500 for 30 minutes. Okay. And I don't want you guys to ever say what such and such can't afford. This is another way people devalue their business, is they say, well, they can't afford that. You never want to count people's pockets. People make provisions for what it is they want. Point, period, blank. People make provisions for what it is they want. This is your price. If they want you, they will pay. Okay. So we want to make sure that we are not saying, well, they can't afford this, or, well, we're making excuses for things that we really don't have any actual facts on. Okay. So we want to make sure that we are not incorporating that psyche into our branding, because what that does is you will always be thinking in that regard when it comes to your value. And we can't do that. We set the tone as far as how we're treated in business. Nobody else does. Okay. No one else does. Don't ever give anybody that power. Trust me, I've been in positions where people have asked me to lower my rate. And I'm like, no, no. Because if I was a white man, you wouldn't ask him the same thing. Okay. So I hope this works for you guys. Please be sure, if you are interested in this kind of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and please leave a comment, because guess what I said earlier? I'm paying attention. I'm listening. I want to hear from you. So be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And this is Tracy Collins, the Global CEO, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.